This is Andy Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Mario Barrios over Zoom. Mario, it's the first time that we've ever spoken. I'm sure it won't be the last. How's life treating you as you get ever closer towards the end of camp?
Oh, it's good. It's about as good as it can be. While I'm in camp, just training, resting, and looking forward to September 30th.
Mario, this is your third fight now at 147. How do you feel you're adjusting to the weight?
I feel like I feel like now I have really adjusted to the weight. I feel like now I'm a full blown welterweight. The first fight with Thurman, it was the first fight at 147. It was kind of just me getting used to it. Then I had a fight, with Giovanni Santiago in February, and that fight I feel really strong, and I feel like from there, we have just kept on, progressing and improving.
We'll come on to your Dennis fight shortly, but just one final one coming on to kind of your route into 147. You've obviously shown in your career you're happy to face and challenge anybody. Do you have any regrets stepping straight into the division and facing somebody like Keith Thurman instead of maybe easing yourself into it when you look back now?
Oh no, I knew to begin with, it was a big risk, but I've never been afraid to test myself, to test my boxing ability. I've been boxing since I was 6 years old. If I'm not trying to fight the best, what? Why have I been doing this so long?
Let's move on to that Yordenis Ugas fight now. As mentioned, about three weeks away from it. It's an interesting one because he hasn't fought since his defeat to Errol Spence. People talk about the lack of activity, but his eye injury as well. I imagine there might be some demons he'll have to face when he steps between the ropes for the first time. When you consider yourself and your style, is that something you want to play on? Maybe target his eye a little bit early on, try and create some doubt in his own mind.
I'm expecting a healthy Ugas, but I'm definitely going in there with bad intentions. And the one thing I'm really looking to take advantage of is his layoff. How you said Spence was his last fight, and we're looking to just as soon as the fight begins, just getting right to work.
How do you expect it to play out in your own mind when you imagined this fight in your own head?
It's kind of hard. Ugas, he's Cuban, but he doesn't really have a conventional Cuban style. He'll press forward. He'll stay very tight, and he does like to fight on the inside. So I think it's gonna be interesting, to see the way things play out. Of course, I always I try to use my boxing ability, my size advantage, my length, but I also I do like to fight on the inside. So this fight is very it's gonna be very interesting.
Do you feel like he will have his own doubts when he steps between the ropes because of that lack of activity? And as we mentioned, he's coming back off of a serious injury.
Um, that's hard to say. That's if he is, that's something that he has to deal with. I'm just worried about myself, worried about my own mentality, and we're gonna go in there and try to dominate.
You may have fallen short against Keith, but you're Dennis, obviously a very accomplished fighter. So if you were to have your hand raised, what type of statement would that then send out to the rest of the 147 division?
I think it definitely makes my presence known in the division, and it's gonna just set up even bigger fighters. I mean even bigger fights in the future.
Is it in your mind at all to try and better the Spence result against Ugas?
No, I'm not never wanting to try to to have a performance based on comparison, but like I said, I mean I'm gonna go in there, and I am gonna try to dominate.
How do you foresee the future of your career playing out? So if you're successful on the night, is it very much so looking towards the winner of the rematch between Spence and Crawford if that was to happen at 147, or if maybe those titles become vacant, look to challenge for one of them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's whoever has the belts. If it's Crawford still has them. If there is a rematch, or if they get vacated, the goal is to try to get as many titles as possible. To become a two division world champion.
What fight appeals to you the most, Mario? When you look at the division itself, who would you love to share the ring with?
Oh, it's hard to just put it on one person. The division is stacked with a lot of talent, a lot of great fighters, from all over the world. And I just I enjoy just getting in there and mixing it up with the best.
If you're successful, come the 30th, do you think where would you say that puts you then in the standings in the division?
I think it definitely puts me within the top 10. And like I said, I mean, I'm just doing whatever I can to get close to another world title shot. And so that was that's what makes this opportunity so huge.
Just on that Spence Crawford rematch, when it does come about, what are your thoughts on it? Whether it happens at 147 or 154, do you have any difference in your own mind as to how that plays out?
I think if it happens at 147, the results in a rematch might be the same. I think a fight at 54 plays more into Spence's favor. But who knows what the rematch details are going to be.
Of course, you're boxing on the undercard of Canelo-Charlo. It's a fight which is interesting. The boxing world, it caught the boxing world by surprise when it was announced that it was Jamel and not Jamal. So, what are you expecting from that fight? How do you rate Jamal's chances?
I think he has really good chances. I think this is a fight. I know a lot of people were expecting his brother to fight him first, but hats off to Jermel for stepping up and trying to be great. It's gonna be I know it's gonna be a really exciting fight. Jermel Charlo, he still has the size advantage, and I mean he definitely he has the boxing skills. So I mean I think he can present a fight to Canelo. It's gonna be very interesting.
How much of a factor will that size play a part come fight night in their bout, Mario?
Um, I think it just depends, how Charlo, he uses his size. He could present, a lot of trouble, but Canelo, he's not a stranger, to fighting, taller opponents. He's been known, to as they say, chop the tree down, and but who it all depends on what happens on fight night.
Mario, one final name I just want to throw at you, just because I'm interested for a kind of a British angle at this. Is Conor Benn's looking to return to the ring now. So he's had his ongoing cases with the British Boxing Board of Control and UCAD around his adverse findings last year. Would you ever be interested? Will you ever maybe entertain a fight with him if he was to kind of get back into those rankings and build himself up?
Yeah, absolutely. Before all that happened, he was definitely, a name, to be, reckoned with in the division. I still think, that's true, but, I would, given, he's clean and everything, I would love to fight him, whether it's here, whether it's over there, overseas, I would love, to go over there and fight.
That's an interesting one to kind of swiftly end on. Fighting over in the UK, is that something which you thought about?
I have, I've always wanted, to go overseas, and fight somebody, from, in their backyard, in their territory. It's just, it brings a different type of motivation, So if the opportunity ever presents itself, I would definitely take it.
Mario, just before we wrap this up and leave a final word to yourself, is there anything you'd like to leave on? Anything you'd like to say to everybody ahead of your bout with Yordenis Ugas on September 30th?
Uh, you know, um, not much, just, I'm ready. I'm excited. Tune in September 30th. It's going to be a great night of boxing.
And do you have a message for Yordenis at all?
None. There's no bad blood, but, between me and him, it's just business. I know he's coming ready, and so am I.
Mario, listen, obviously, I hope you enjoy the rest of your camp and I will see you come September 30th. Thank you for speaking to me.
Hell yeah, Andy. It was a pleasure, bro.